So this is video 2. Curious where I'm at. I'm at Mesquite Pit. I just had dinner with my girlfriend and her friend and her mom. So I'm going a different way home. That way you aren't seeing the same thing over and over. So this is my long way going home. I don't remember if I zipped my backpack. I did. Pretty sure. Yeah, it looks like it. So I'm kind of weird when I come to stops. I don't mind hopping on close to the shoulder or on the shoulder, depending on where it is, just because if someone does come flying up, it's easier for me to get out of the way. A lot of people park right in the middle, they just don't care. But cross rockets are kind of narrow, so I want to make sure I can move if I need to. But this is Weatherford. Well, technically Weatherford's over the hill, but y'all get a scenic route. That person's getting really close. I don't like it. People turning last minute. By the way, if you're driving a car and there's a motorcycle behind you, I gotta turn my music down. If there's a motorcycle behind you, don't brake on turns. That's the one thing that irritates me so much. I'm gonna tighten my backpack. It's kind of moving. I suggest, like, if you're gonna have a crotch rocket, crotch rockets don't really look good with backpacks, or with saddlebags, but you look decent with a backpack. So I wear a backpack. I tried finding saddlebags. I have I think it's a 04 Gixxer 600. I could not find one, or GSXR 600. But I tried finding saddlebags, couldn't find them anywhere. I found a couple, but they were like cheesy. They were held on by straps, and if I'm gonna do something like that, I want it to be like hard bags. That way if it goes down, the bags are likely to survive and the stuff in them stay together. So I do a backpack instead. It also protects my back if I do go down. Not that I want to go down or that I plan on going down, but just in case. I take all the necessary precautions because you never know what's going to happen. Like, I could blow a tire right now. I know they're inflated properly, I know they're good. It's also 2 wheels, so it's not like a car. You blow a tire, you're likely to go down. A car, you blow a tire, it's gonna feel bad, but chances are you're gonna salvage it and be fine. You're just gonna be stranded wherever you are. On a bike, if you blow a tire, expect to go down. I'm not saying you're gonna go down. There are some people that can recover it. I would say I can, but I've never been there, so I can't say that I'm good enough to recover it. I would like to believe that I've been riding long enough that I have the experience to. I've rode dirt bikes and tires blew. I also wasn't on pavement. At least on dirt, the rim kind of bites in. But just to give you all a background on me, I started out on dirt bikes. I got my first one when I was probably about 8, maybe younger. When I rode mine, which was a 50cc Honda. Had a lot of fun with it. It was a manual. I learned how to ride it fairly quickly. And then my brother had a 150. He got the same time I got my 50. We got it for Christmas from our parents. We sold mine because I definitely outgrew it. I was like 13, something like that. My brother had a driver's license, so he didn't really ride it much. So I took it over. I started riding his all the time, which was just a 150 Honda 4-stroke. I'm a 4-stroke guy. I'm not fond of 2-strokes. But we did that. I rode that for a while. I learned a lot about riding. But once I got rid of it, or my dad sold it, I wasn't ready to sell it. I was actually having a lot of fun with it. I told my parents that I'm gonna get my motorcycle license, and parents being parents are like, no you're not. So I tried collecting the money to go do the safety course, and for Christmas one year they handed me a little tube. There was paper inside the tube. I opened it up and it was a voucher for a safety course to go take it. I'm like, great. So I borrowed my mom's car because I was driving an 83 pickup, 7 miles per gallon. I wasn't going to drive from Weatherford to Hearst with 7 miles per gallon. No. That would have killed me and cost me more than the safety course would have. So I borrowed my mom's car, drove out there. They supplied everything. I actually failed the written course, and the teacher held me back for a couple minutes because we were taking a lunch break, the meeting at the Hewlin Mall, I think. So he's asking me all these questions about writing and stuff like that, and he looks at me, he's like, you know what I just talked to you about? All of that was on the test. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, all of that was on the test. Do you have any learning disabilities? I'm like, well, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. I don't know if it's true or not. And he's like, well, I'm gonna correct this because you actually made 100. I'm like, okay, thank you. So that's probably one of the nicest things that's happened to me. So I finished my safety course right after everyone that was in the course. It was like 10 of us. We all ran to the DMV, got our endorsement. For me, it was common sense questions. The writing portion was stupid easy. If you ride a dirt bike, you can pass the safety course. Legally, you do not need turn signals, so you don't have to use them during the safety course. I did anyways. Different instructors may be different, but that's how my instructor did it. So I got my endorsement and everything when I was about 18. Took the course, got the endorsement, got my new license in. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for a motorcycle. So I took my time finding the one I want. I'm looking. I started going to college. I was going all the way in Farmers Branch, driving a Ford Ranger I bought. And one day when I was headed to school, so I went to Brookhaven, great school. I will never bash them. The teachers do everything in their power to help you. It's just pretty far. I went through the Ford Asset program. I flunked out because you have to do basics in the Ford program. If you're in the Chevy program or the CAT's a general, not brand. It's not Chevy or Ford. So you have Chevy, Ford, and then CAT. Chevy and CAT, you don't have to do your basics. With the Asset program, when you're done with the course, you have your bachelor's. So that was kind of cool. A lot of times I forget what gear I'm in, so I try shifting up just to see if I can. I don't count. But anyways, went through the Ford Asset program. One morning when I was headed to school, I got rear-ended. It was 3 cars. I was in the very front. Some lady hopped off the highway at Marsh Lane. You're more than welcome to look up the intersection. Basically, you get off the highway, and shortly after you get off the highway, there's a light. So there was 1 car in front of me at the light. It was a tow truck. Then it was me, and then it was a Nissan Altima, and I don't remember what the last car was. But she comes off the highway, she claimed she was doing about 80, and she's like, she nailed the person behind me so hard that me and her had probably 8 feet between us. Pushed that car into me, slid my truck forward. I had a 2002 Ford Ranger with a 2.3 liter manual transmission. When all said and done, we did not move our vehicles. We stayed there. I checked on everybody first thing, made sure everybody was okay. One of them, their neck was hurting, so I told them just to stay there because we already shut all the cars off. There was no danger or anything. The lady that was in the very back was just fine. Her airbags are the only ones that deployed. She admitted that it was her fault. Her insurance company probably hates her for that, but there's no way she could have got out of it. So I stood behind all the cars, directing them to go over, just so we didn't cause more traffic than there already was. We had to wait 45 minutes for a state trooper to show up. When a state trooper finally showed up, basically he got all our information, made a police report, gave us a copy of the citation number for the lady that was in the very back that caused all of it, and they wanted to call a tow truck to get me off the car that was behind me, but it was definitely totaled. I was the only one that could drive away. So I told him, I'm fine, my truck's fine, I can pull off that car. He's like, okay, do you want me to do it so if something goes wrong they get to blame me? I'm like, that hood's trashed, the radiator's trashed, the only thing that's salvageable right there is the motor. He's like, okay. So my back tires are barely on the ground, my back bumper is on her hood, so I rev it up and dumped the clutch in first gear. Pulled right off of her, stopped, talked to the cop for a second, and I went to school. When I got to school, I checked out my truck, everything. All in all, when everything was done, the insurance company called me, said that they're totaling my truck, because it was 2002, this was in 2017 or 18. It was old enough they didn't want to go through all the repairs, and when I took it to a shop, the repair list was huge. A lot of it was already wrong with it. The accident made those worse. So like, I had a small oil leak, and I drove it for 2 weeks before I got into the shop. When I say small, I put probably a quart every 2 months. After the accident, I was putting a quart every week. So I kind of helped guide them, the mechanic shop, on it. I told them, hey, I'm a mechanic, I can tell you everything wrong with it before y'all even go through it. The only thing they added was a bumper, because my bumper got tweaked down, but I ended up, the insurance company totaled it. They're like, hey, so you have 2 options. We can total it and come get the truck for $3,200, or we can give you $2,400 and you can go and keep your truck. I'm like, okay, is the title going to be salvage title, bonded title, what? Like, it'll still be the same title, we just need a copy of it. Okay. Went in there, got a copy of it and everything, and I'm like, great, I have $2,400, let's go look at motorcycles. Start going to dealerships and stuff. The price difference between a dealership and an individual is outrageous. I paid $2 grand for this bike. This isn't my first. This is actually my second street bike. My first one was a 1986 XL 250R. I had it for a while before. So my dad used to ride, and he gave me a lot of rules when I got my bike. He's like, all right, you can only ride around the neighborhood. I don't want you leaving the neighborhood. I rode around the neighborhood for probably 3 or 4 hours. Finally, my dad's like, all right, you can go wherever you want. I'm like, okay, great. So I hopped on it, literally, as soon as he said that, hopped on it, went to Weatherford. I took back ways because it pegged at 80, and the speed limit's, what was the speed limit? Speed limit was 70. I'm gonna shut that off. So, I used the insurance money to buy that motorcycle. Great bike. I actually regret selling it. It was white. It was a single-cylinder, dual-pipe car. So I finally sold it shortly after me and my girlfriend got together, and I went 2-3 years without a motorcycle, and I started working for FedEx, and my boss had this, and he's like, $2,000, it's yours. And he was messing with me. So I'm like, are you serious? He's like, I have another bike at home. If you seriously want it, $2,000. He didn't want to sell it, but he's my cousin's friend. So he understood that if I go to sell it, he's going to get first dibs. The bike was, I don't want to say it was 100% illegal, but he used it to run from the cops. That's why I'm not dropping names. So I got it 100% legal and everything, and now I ride it daily. Great bike. $2,000. I couldn't pay him outright. I was making almost $1,000 a week. I had a lot of bills. I had loans. So none of it was school loans. I paid all that cash. So I don't remember where I started this video, what we were talking about, but I'm gonna slow down a little bit so I can talk to y'all a little bit more. So me and him worked out a deal. So I gave him $500 a week. After the first week, he's like, you can go ahead and take it home. I'll bring you the title. Okay, great. So he brings me the title the following week. I take it home, got it on insurance before I left and everything. So it was, for the most part, legal. Back tire was completely bald. The front tire had a bald spot all the way around it. So I got it legal. I rode it a couple times. I was working all the way in Mansfield. It's been a while since I rode. So I'm gonna cut it out here, but thank you for following.